Pulp MX Network production.
EVS Sports brings you a cheeky Brit and an American YouTube racing sensation weekly on the LVK More Than Moto podcast. Here's your hosts, Lewis Phillips and Kellen Brauer.
Welcome back, everybody, to the EVS Sports LVK More Than Moto podcast. I'm Kellen Brauer. Lewis Phillips joining me, fresh off a nice weekend at Unadilla. It was a little bit rainy. It was a little bit warm, but how are you doing today, Lewis?
I'm okay, Kellen. I am excited, and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control, and I think I like it.
All right, good way to start off with a quote. First time at Unadilla for you, right? That's the first time you've ever been there?
Yes, Kellen, it is the first time that I've ever been there.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you maybe had a random test day from Budds Creek or something like that. End up at Unadilla.
Okay. I know we said we weren't going to mention it, but we have to mention it because I feel like I'm in a nightmare, Kellen. I need to share my pain.
Okay, let him know.
We did 40 minutes of this show earlier. To be honest with you, and you all know that I'm very critical of myself and what we do here, arguably one of the best LVK episodes, maybe the best. And then Kellen jumps in and goes, oh, it's not recording. Oh.
No, stop it. I did not say it's not recording. I said that the program that I record with crashed, and then when I went to look at the file, it was corrupted.
So, forgive me. And I said to him, we're not going to tell anyone this because it's, not a good look, maybe. But hearing Kellen again ask me if this was my first time to Unadilla was just too much for this man to bear.
Sorry, I should have led off with how's the heat stroke
You
doing.
literally followed the same script. Like anything else. Hey, Lewis, how's the weather?
Yeah,
hey, Lewis, what have you done today? Hey,
okay,
Lewis, anything. But we did the same script.
We can talk about the fact that you did get sunburned at Unadilla, so how has the aloe vera been today?
I'm fine.
Okay. No heat stroke, no sunburn, we're fine.
So, for context, we have changed two of the topics. We didn't get the whole way through the show earlier, so we have changed two of the three topics we did earlier. So actually, this is what you missed out on, like a game show. This is what you could have won. A Drew Adams discussion and a Dean Wilson Racing in Brazil discussion. That's gone.
That might still come, though, next week.
Okay, but
so now you're just spoiling a future episode.
That's what you could have won, dear listeners. Instead, what you've won is the first two segments of this episode instead.
Yeah, and it'll be awesome. It's going to be great.
I'm about
chopping
to lose
at the
control, and I think I like it.
Yeah, it's awesome. But on the previous cut of this show that we did, you talked about how hard it rained on Friday and how hot and dry it was on Saturday. Did that shock you a little bit that the track ended up being so dry? Because I was honestly, seeing the photos and everything and then seeing it on race day, I'm like, damn.
Yeah, but I think we do have a tendency to overreact to rain a little bit. There's no real measurement of how much rain a track can handle. Kind of, obviously, there's no real measurement on how much it's going to rain or what the rain's going to do. So I do think that sometimes we over-prepare. You see it in Supercross as well sometimes. We see at a track like Alabama this year. We were over-prepared for potential rain. And I think that's what happened to Unadilla because it was fast. It was not so rough. It was a highway. Jay Sexton told me that it was like so much of a highway that you had to turn off your brain and just pin it. And that's because they sealed it so much, I guess. But it was almost too hard pack come Saturday.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. When I see that much standing water, which there was a lot on Friday, at least by the photos and stuff like that, it's impressive to me that either the earth can soak up that much overnight or the track crew can do that much to affect how much different the track would look day to day, because they canceled press riding. I don't know. I was preparing to wake up and hear, oh, it's a total slosh fest, and Kenny off the couch is going to go 1-1 in the mud or something dumb like that. So
Oh wow, Kellen disrespects Chase's mud skills. Banner of this episode.
German that grew up in the mud, Illinois kid that now lives in Florida
Kellen
full time. I don't know.
Pigeonholes Germans. Headline of this episode.
Fair enough. All right, let's get into our topics. Like I said, we have fun ones to talk about. We're going to rehash a couple, but for the most part, we actually have like a completely different show. So this is going to be kind of cool to hear your thoughts on a couple things with this. Before we do that, big shout out to EVS Sports. Experience the pinnacle of knee protection and injury prevention with the EVS Web Eclipse knee brace. For over 39 years, EVS has relentlessly honed their engineering expertise, consistently delivering award-winning knee braces. This legacy of excellence is embedded in every facet of the new Web Eclipse, which represents the culmination of their tireless dedication to innovation and rider safety. Use code LVK30 to save 30% off today. Also, thanks to Namura for presenting this show, the leading provider of engine components for motocross, ATV, UTV, and personal watercraft for over 2 decades. Namura has been the preferred choice for premium and dependable engine components for more than 20 years. Whether you're restoring your vintage bike, rebuilding your four-wheeler, or upgrading your new 450 race motor, Namura has you covered. Our extensive line of cast and forged pistons, connecting rods, gasket kits, engine valves, and soon cylinder kits that enhance your engine's performance. Keep an eye out for our new and innovative products in 2024 and beyond. Stay up to date by following us on Instagram at Namura_technologies. And lastly, thanks to Racetech for backing the show as well. We got a Racetech fan topic that is going to be a lot of fun to dissect. For 40 years, Racetech has been supplying the motorcycle industry with high-quality suspension components made right here in the USA. From modern to vintage, Racetech is your go-to source for suspension performance. All right, let's jump in, Lewis.
Question.
What do you got? What are we doing?
Do we get double time for this?
Yeah, should we bill Steve? Billable hours here?
I just feel like overtime is coming into effect at this point because typically I'm on the docket for 6 topics a week, and now I'm doing 8 this week. And
would you like for me to pay?
Charity. This is no charity over here.
Would you like for me to pay for dinner this weekend out of my pocket?
Maybe buy me a gift.
Okay, I'll show up
from
with a
the
gift.
Apple Store, maybe.
The Apple Store. You want the Vision Pro?
I'm not gonna rob you blind, Kellen, but maybe a phone case, maybe, or I just got some new AirPods, so I don't need those AirPod Pros.
I don't even know what phone you have.
What's the over the head ones called? Pros? No, Max.
Max, yeah. The Pros are the ones that are just the.
Yeah, that's what I bought. Yeah. That's what I got last week. Now I'd quite like the over the ear ones, so maybe those.
Okay.
Your choice. I don't want to tell you how to buy
You have to tell me what phone you have, though. I don't know what phone you have. So.
Well, it doesn't matter if we get the AirPod Max.
All right, fair enough.
This is exciting, isn't it? These 2 topics are really becoming worthwhile for me now.
All right, let's get into our first topic of the day here. We did this in Supercross. We kind of rehashed. We did, I think, at the end of the season, actually, but we rehashed some performances or some guys that we thought maybe did better than anticipated and were maybe not appreciated for that value that they brought to the table. So it's not quite the end of Nationals yet, but I still feel like this is a interesting discussion to kind of see what their progress looks like through the end of Nationals and into SMX. But so far, Lewis, if you had to pick 250 or 450, who has been the downright most underrated rider to you?
Okay, well, from memory, I believe I picked McElrath in Supercross.
Yep.
I have no memory of who you picked.
Did I pick like J. Coop or some Hunter Lawrence? I feel like there was one of those guys.
Well, yeah, you probably would have picked one of those very obvious riders. That does sound on brand for you.
Yep.
Definitely sounds like the great Lewis reaching down for McElrath to pull up an unexpected one.
How's that going so far?
We were talking Supercross. Also, fun fact. So don't ask me how I ended up down this rabbit hole, but the Mad Parts, MX for Christ, what's the third title sponsor? Who knows? Nobody knows. Anyway, I was on Instagram when the McElrath news got announced. Mad Parts, under 1,000 followers. MX for Christ, under 1,000 followers. And whoever the third title sponsor is, under 1,000 followers. And I thought to myself, how crazy that we have a team in this sport where all of the title sponsors have under 1,000 followers on Instagram. I have over 1,000 followers on Instagram. Like,
sponsor a team then.
But it was a real wake up call to me where I was like, wow, we really are a small sport. I mean, you could say it's not a great surprise that MX Motocross for Christ doesn't have over 1,000 followers. But still, you would think that one of the title sponsors would. I don't know how I feel about that. It just struck me as like one of those sobering moments where I was like, we really are a small little sport, aren't we?
We are. Would you like to get to the topic?
I don't know. This could be a topic now.
It's your show at this point.
I don't know, Kellen. I'm tired. I've already done this today. Let's just talk. Let's just catch up.
Well, if you would like me to talk to that.
Away from the Instagram follower discussion.
Yep.
Okay. That's another one that you could have won, listeners. Falls into the same category as Dean and Drew Adams. For outdoors, or not even for outdoors specifically, in the current mood that I'm in, I am going to go for Christian Craig. Why, Lewis, have you gone for factory rider who is arguably underperforming against his potential, Christian Craig? Well, let me tell you, Kellen, seeing as you asked so politely, I think that in this sport, we have a tendency to discredit a rider as soon as they aren't at their peak. Almost to liken it to Toy Story. When Woody has a rip in his arm, he goes on the shelf. Christian Craig has a difficult elbow, so as an industry, we've put him on the shelf. He's gathering dust, he's next to Wheezy. Nobody knows if he's ever coming down the shelf. Maybe he's scared of heights. That's probably a concern. If so, who knows? And actually, that's very wrong of us. Because yes, he is not the great Christian Craig that he could be. Maybe he will be in time. But right now, he's not peak Christian Craig. But that doesn't mean that he's just useless. He's still getting great results. And they are great results. Again, we have a tendency to feel as though anything below top 5 is just shit. But in reality, Christian Craig 7, 8, 9 every week, they are great results. He's still one of the most marketable riders in the pits. He basically ticks every box, and he is one of the top 10 riders in the Super Motocross World Championship. But because we have such high expectations, and this is where we get in trouble because your perception of a rider is all based on your personal expectations. For instance, if I expect a lot of a rider and they underperform, I will be down on them. But maybe you don't expect as much as me in the first place, so you are high on them. Same difference. We're saying the same thing, just differently. Anyway, besides my point, I chose Christian Craig.
No, that is a good pick because I feel like, to your point, it wasn't going well at the beginning, and a lot of people were very down on him because of that. And I feel like he has slowly but surely made the right steps back to being himself. And I think that's totally fair, given his injury, the nature of the comeback of it, how long he was off the bike for. Like, this is a different version of Christian Craig than any of us should expect. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost, I don't want to compare it to this, but it's almost like him coming back from the traumatic back injury he had at the beginning of his career, because you almost wipe the slate clean. Like, the fact that he's even on the track, we should be like, thumbs up, you know?
I guess the bottom line of this point is his last 6 moto finishes are 7, 7, 7, 12, 9, 8. In absolutely no world is that terrible. But you agree with me, as a sport, we are very quick to like discredit any result that isn't a top 5. And I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. But you look at F1 and they will talk about a driver finishing 14th and getting no points to no end based on how the drive was, whether they've met their own expectations, etc., etc. Whereas in this sport, we go, so-and-so finished 9th. Fair shit. Wonder if they'll retire. You know, that is genuinely how it goes.
No, it is. I think with F1, though, unfortunately, is, you know, people realize that someone with a 20th place car finishing 14th is incredible. But if you try to say Christian Craig is on a 9th place bike and gets 6th, people are going to be like, well, why are you talking shit on the Husqvarna? You know what I mean? Like,
or is what you're saying, because he's on a Husqvarna, which is a factory bike, we cannot accept that 9th is an acceptable position?
Correct. And so they'll always go back to like, well, you put XYZ on that bike, they'll be on the podium, but Christian's putting it in 7th.
Okay, let me ask you this then. So if Christian was on a Mad Parts Kawasaki, would the world's current perception of him be any different? Or because he is on a B-level program, would we have all just written him off even more?
No, his perception would be wildly different. If he was getting these results, people would probably be calling for him to get on the Husky.
I don't know. I think I disagree.
Really?
Because it's different when, and I'm kind of not talking about myself now. I'm kind of guessing the overwhelming public opinion. It's different when a rider has been on a factory bike and drops to a program like that.
Okay,
Because
yes.
then they've been there previously. So you can't say, oh, they deserve that bike because we have the data to tell us what happens when they're on that bike.
But I will raise you one Ty Masterpool, because when Ty Masterpool whole shot on a privateer KTM in 2022 outdoors and led a couple laps at Redbud and was third forever, people were like, get him on a factory bike, even though we had a history of him being on a factory bike and it not working. So
Ty Masterpool is a moot point because he is own mystery wrapped in a riddle and nobody knows.
yeah. Okay, fair enough. My underrated, I'm going to jump to the 250 class for my underrated performance. And I could have gone either way. One of them just got a podium this weekend, Jalik Swole. The other that I think I would more lean towards is so underrated because nobody's talking about him. He's like invisible, is Pierce Brown. And you can, to the point of Christian Craig, argue Pierce Brown's on a factory bike. He hasn't been hurt, so he's been fine. He should be in a much better position. But if I told you, like if I told anybody right now, given what Ty Masterpool has done this year, that Pierce Brown's only 30, I think he's only 32 points behind him, people would be like, are you kidding? That he's only 30 back? I figured he would be like 100 back because Ty's winning races and Pierce Brown is who knows where based on the perception people have given him. So he's 7th in points. He's been in the top 10 a lot. He's gotten better of lately. His rides at Washougal were very good. He went 7-7 over the weekend at Unadilla. He is completely invisible, but I feel like he's doing perfectly fine. No?
I can't remember if I said this on this podcast or another podcast, but take away Ty Masterpool's 2 moto wins, and his results don't scream. He needs a full-time factory ride. Don't scream. I said scream.
Yeah. No, I mean, but it's been extremely inconsistent, which is the real problem of that. But as with every team in the history of forever, we can work with speed. That's what Ty Masterpool brings to the table. If Pierce Brown had a moto where he was leading for a little bit and got third, I think it would be a completely different perception of him on the season. But he's just been quietly getting 6.5, 7.7, 8.9, 9.6. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, ultimately Pierce Brown hasn't finished higher than 5th. If he had a single second on his scorecard, the whole conversation changes.
Yeah. Well,
that comes back to, as a sport, we just disregard any result that isn't a podium.
The only reason I even bring it up with Pierce, though, is because, I don't know, maybe you've been different, but in the people that I talk to, and I'm not talking about industry people, I'm literally talking like my friends and stuff, it's literally been like, do you think people or Star is regretting signing Pierce? And I rebut no. Like, he's been solidly consistent on that bike so far this year, and now he is going to go to that team and I think get better at Star. Well, you might have a different opinion, but I feel like that's the narrative around him.
No, but I think even if he goes to Star and does the same, that's fine.
Yeah, he's
it's not
ahead
bad
of Jordan
at the
Smith in the points. It's not Daxon Bennick. Yeah, those kind of guys. So
we kind of now offer the we're not off it, but we're kind of on a tightrope between two topics. So allow me to just completely stay on the tightrope. Back to the point about fans and us and everyone not respecting results or really being sane. Max Anstey had a breakthrough ride, you could say, at Unadilla. Questionable about whether he will be able to go to the Motocross of Nations. And I saw a fan comment on a Facebook post about it. Well, he's not really in top form anyway, so I don't even know if he would be picked. And it's like, A, he just finished third in a moto. B, there is no other talent in Britain. So, fuck me. Who is even close to that? Like, honestly, yeah, you know what? Max Anstey's not on top form. Let's send this 40th place rider instead, because that's comparable. And I just read that and I was like, how fucking insane of these people. Like
Yeah.
how there is no perception, there's no logical thinking about results. It's literally insane.
I will, to the topic of fans and the reaction about those types of rides, though, can we a little bit maybe throw it back on us, though, that perhaps we're not doing a good enough job of pumping up these guys and highlighting the stories of Pierce Brown getting better throughout the year and Max Anstey finding his flow on that bike and getting a podium ride this week. You know what I mean? Like, is that maybe where it's getting lost a little bit?
Here we go back to LVK's heart. That's also where it comes down to the PR people a little bit, because the teams need to be also peddling these stories. Because at the end of the day, we only get 2 minutes after the race and potentially 2 minutes on press day. So that doesn't really help us. Like, if I was a team PR person, I would be saying, hey, Kellen, I want to get the positive word out on Pierce Brown's season. Do you want to do a story? We can arrange a time. This is the angle I'm thinking for your story. What do you think? Blah, 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 blah. Because I do feel like that's probably how it works in other sports. I might ask Adam Wheeler.
Well, honestly,
how it works.
It is how it works in other sports, and there are a couple people doing that in our sport. And kudos to them, because their guys get a lot of press, you know?
Who? Oh, Mike Bonacci.
Yeah, you know. But I'm
and
just
who
saying,
else?
well, Dirt Bike Depot guys were hard in Supercross
That's
on that
true.
too.
Yeah, and you know what? Would we even know what Dirt Bike Depot is if it wasn't for that team doing a good job?
We would know who they are because Gage Linville was having good results and stuff like that.
True.
But we were not chasing the story. Maybe they were kind of bringing it to us, and then we talked to like Marcus Phelps and guys like that as well. So
fucking well done, Dirt Bike Depot.
Golf claps
it's
all
true.
around.
It's honestly true. You know what? You like now that you've actually just laid it out in layman's terms. Fucking hell, they actually got it.
Yep.
Because they probably knew that we didn't like. Well, sometimes we didn't have the time to talk to them, but they were like, "We are going to bring them here, and if you want them, we've got them here for you." And they would, and they would come up to us and be like, "Hey, career best result for this guy, like home race," and oh, okay, brilliant.
Yep. Which is what Bonacci's always done, right? That is his MO to a T. Like since the day he walked into the sport, that's how he's been. You know what
it is about those teams? They're not in the cool guy club.
Yeah, they kind of they're looked at as like, oh, those guys.
No, but because they're not in a cool guy club, I think that they have a better. They're more perceptive. Because it's not so much like, we're killing it.
Yeah.
High five, Knuckles.
Well, this is deep diving into PR and all this stuff that goes on behind the scenes. But I mean, I've had PR people before tell me, I was like, who are you writing these for? And they're like, for you guys, the media. And I'm like, that's it? Like, they're all five of us? You know what I mean? Like, bring us the rider. We'd rather talk to the rider than get, one PR quote a week, I would say. No?
Yeah. No, wait, so you mean you spoke to a PR person and said, who are you writing the press release for?
Yep.
Well,
but they're getting quotes from these guys and they are just getting buried because most of the time they're not tangible enough quotes for us to really like deep dive anything. It's just, my race is okay. We'll see you next week. That kind of stuff. And on top of that, it's not going public anywhere except for us. Like, unless you sign up for their newsletter, which I don't know. Do you have any friends that have ever signed up for a newsletter for a team?
I actually don't have friends.
Okay.
Hold on. Let me ask Chase if he signed up for the Dirt Bike Depot newsletter.
You get my point, though. Like, for them, they're trying to go, they're trying to write this PR or whatever to get information about their program out to the media, to the press, to the public, because then the press will turn it to the public. But there's so little substance in sometimes what is written in these PRs that my idea would just be, yeah, man, instead of taking an hour to write it, take 30 minutes of your time and walk your guy over here once a week. No?
Do you want to know what's weird as well? Is most of the time, PR people, you have to say to them, hey, can I have X rider? And it's like, shouldn't it go without saying that we would like the winner?
Yeah.
Because you go like, hey, can I talk to them? They're like, sure, yeah. Like, it's a surprise.
I know, they're like, oh, you want to talk to somebody? Okay, cool.
I'll tell you what I did for like once, because I was interested. I don't even know how it went. But once when I was doing PR for a team, I wrote a story that wasn't a PR. Like I wrote basically an article and sent it because I had a sponsor mailing list, a media mailing list, and an industry mailing list. And I wrote essentially an editorial in the off season about basically wrote it as a journalist, but distributed it as a team. Mm-hmm. And I sent it to all of the media and said, hey, here's an article on so-and-so if you want to run it. And everyone ran it.
Yeah.
And it just looks like all of these websites decided to write a story about this rider's struggles and background and how they're going to overcome. I feel like that's more PR-y.
Well, I honestly, when I worked at Racer X, for example, there were times where I'm trying to jog my memory on who, but there were times that we would get PRs that were literally Q&A. Like, hey, we just spent 10 minutes with this guy, and it was just bold, Q&A type of stuff. And then we would run that as like a feature because it was great stuff. Like it had solid information throughout the whole thing. And instead of just one quote, it was deep dives into what you're changing on the bike, what's with your program lately, yada, yada, yada. Like all this stuff that we would ask them as well if we get the chance to talk to him, but not all the time we get to talk to him, right? So like even that, I think is something that, that would be advice to. I mean, we're so far in the weeds compared to the topic we're talking about, but that would be...
We've already done this podcast once today, so fuck it.
Okay. Well, do you want to continue into the next topic, or would you like to keep going with PR?
What time are we on, boss?
We're already 25 minutes in.
Okay. Fuck it. Oh, I'm happy to keep talking, and we'll just cut another topic.
Well,
how's your day been?
My day's been great. Let's get into the next topic. This is your topic, and I'm going to let you just kind of go for it because you said you would like to explain.
Okay. So, is it possible, and what spurred this idea is Brauer put a photo of Plessinger on his Instagram story. Such a humble beginning for this topic. Is it possible that Plessinger is actually the best signing that KTM have had in America? Let me explain why. They took him, made him better indoors and out categorically, and have managed to turn him into a consistent podium finisher. Everyone else, Dungey was already a champion. Chase was already a champion. Marvin, already a champion. Let's be honest. Yeah? Well, he was already KTM.
Yeah, he's a KTM forever.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, that was dumb. Poop admittedly goes into the same category, but outdoors, and the negativity that surrounded him and KTM a lot kind of taints it. So we'll put that in like the bad bin. Plessinger is the guy you can point to of KTM bringing a rider in, nurturing him, and basically making him a better version than any other factory team could.
Yeah. To your point about like public perception, I guess a little bit, because like you said, the web thing with how it went and how it ended, maybe it doesn't look great for KTM or really web. But AP, I feel like completely changed the perception that KTM has, both from the fans and even kind of in the pits. Because before that, remember, fans were just like, everything that KTM did, even if it wasn't like this, it would roll back to, well, KTM tried to cheat Dungey into a title with the Marvin thing, or, oh, that's a slimy KTM move again. Do you remember that? Like, do you remember the...
No, I don't really feel like that was as strong as you do.
Well, I feel like
I agree that the perception was that KTM was a bit rigid.
Yeah, rigid, kind of like, I don't want to call them the boring team, but sort of, right? Like, Webb was very focused on racing.
Who the boring team is now?
Who?
Well, who would you say the boring team is now?
They would probably not like it, but Star.
Okay, I was going to say Factory Cowie.
Yeah, but it's we're in an interim period where Anderson doesn't really ever talk to the media. We used to have Media Darling, and then we're going to have Prado. So I can't really put Cowie there because they were really good. We're in a lull, and then we're going to have Prado. So
honestly, I was thinking earlier, am I going to become best friends with Prado?
Maybe. I'm going to try to beat you to it.
Ready for this?
No, I'm going to try to beat you to it.
Like, but is this just like the circle of life?
I don't know. I'm going to speak Spanish.
Is he going to be on his first day of school all nervous, and then he'll see me, who he recognizes, and then that'll be it? I have another best friend?
Depends on if I beat you to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but KTM, like, again, as you said, they were rigid. I remember when when Plessinger signed there, it was like, ugh, how's that going to happen? Are they going to make him shave the mullet? The mustache is gone.
Yeah, I remember that.
All that kind of thing. And I don't know. I feel like they've leaned into it harder than maybe any other team would. No? Like, I don't feel like any other team in the paddock would be like, hey, let's make cowboy hats with Red Bull logos on it and stuff.
On top of that, I think Chase has done a lot for KTM's perception.
Sure, yeah.
Because he's still brutally honest and KTM isn't stopping that. He's still cool Chase and KTM isn't apart from the fact that now he has to wear a team shirt on track walk and stuff like that, which I noticed quite early on in Supercross. He was much more branded.
Yep.
Apart from that, like, they haven't exactly squashed Chase and made him into a corporate machine.
Yeah. So let's talk about the riding side of it, though. And as you said, Cooper Webb falls into this similar vein. And if you take the behind-the-scenes stuff out of it, on-track stuff, I feel like Webb is better than AP in terms of the transition, because AP he was leading Supercrosses on a Yamaha and outdoors. So he was in the
leading
mix.
Supercross on a Yamaha.
I think he led 2. He definitely led an outdoor at one point. And he was on Kenny for the lead/win at Unadilla when he looped it out on a Yamaha. So anyway, point being, AP showed the flashes of like, hey man, things go right. I'm going to get a win eventually. It's going to happen on a Yamaha. I don't feel like I was even in that ballpark ever with Webb. And when Webb went to KTM, it was very much like, oh, this will be a fun rebuild. This will be fun to, see whether him getting a fresh program and going somewhere different and learning from Marvin Muscan and all this stuff like that is going to make his career better. And 3 rounds in, it was a completely different story. Won his first ever Supercross and probably never looked back. So that's why I would say AP persona-wise changed KTM. I think Webb results-wise is far and away the guy that made the most impact with changing to that program.
Okay, agree, but how about this? Although Webb was in a dip before KTM, he was still, at his core, a rider expected to be the very best. So although KTM got him back there, perhaps there was an element, Webb was always going to get here.
Sure, but I think
Whereas
AP...
with Plessinger, you could say there was less expectation, so the fact that KTM has risen his level is easier to put on KTM. Whereas with Webb, I could, not saying that I would, but I could throw your argument out by simply going, yeah, but Webb was always expected to be great. Yeah, he had some bad years, but he would have gotten there on any bike.
Okay. I mean, I don't necessarily fully agree with that, because I think...
Not even do I. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
But at its core, that is a rebuttal.
I think, yes, 250 Webb versus 250 Plessinger, you would say Webb had the more promising career ahead of him going on to a 450, but I didn't look at Plessinger as like, oh, he's not going to ever win races or battle for a championship. Like, he certainly could get there at some point. But the first 2 years with Webb at Yamaha, and granted, he did have a big injury, so that plays into it, but I just, at no point did I see like the 250 Cooper Webb ever on that 450 Yamaha. And I think he himself would even say, yeah, like that wasn't me. And so then he went to KTM and, I don't know, completely revitalized his career. I don't think I would say the same with AP. I think AP could have stayed at Yamaha and been similar, maybe a little bit worse, I guess, but about the same.
I don't know if I agree.
Okay, that's fair. That's what it's called, versus Lewis versus Kellen.
No, Kellen, I don't like disagreeing with you.
Oh, sad. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to see. Like you said, look, guys before that, Brock Tickle went there, and a lot of people were like, oh, he's going to train with Alden Baker. Things are going to go great. And before he got suspended, I don't really ever feel like, I mean, maybe you have a different opinion as well. I don't ever feel like, like there was no Brock Tickle's got this massive oomph because he's over there training with Alden now. Same with Trey Kennard. Trey Kennard didn't work out. Dean Wilson was like, there was a brief period of time, Dean Wilson on a Red Bull KTM, where I'm like, oh boy, here it comes. And then he got hurt. So that's a what if, but I don't know.
It's funny we've ended up here, because when we suggested the Dean Wilson topic earlier, my whole motivation behind accepting it was to get to this point, and I forgot about that. And somehow we've ended up here anyway. So Dean posted a throwback on his Instagram of him on a KTM. And oh my God, seeing videos of Dean on a KTM is like so weird, because it's like time that was forgotten or whatever that saying is. Like, you know, you watch it and you're like, I know that happened, but that's like seeing Bigfoot. And also, to your point, yeah, Dean did 6 supercrosses on a KTM. If you actually look at the practice times and the heat races and the lap times, he was really, really good. Mm-hmm. Like, if you go and look at those races in a bubble, it makes you realize how good Dean Wilson would have been without those back-to-back ACL surgeries.
Oh, yeah.
It really does. Like, it's actually unbelievable.
And amazingly, like, I had kind of even forgot about this until he was on Pulp and we were talking to him about it. I even forgot that after all that, he still almost came back. And at the beginning of 2018, I believe it was, on a Husqvarna, he was almost back to that level again. Like, he was very good. So,
yeah,
like,
I remember,
weird,
I remember that.
Roller coaster there. But like, anyway.
But again, to the previous discussion about Christian Craig, we just disregard that and almost don't put weight. Now that Dean isn't the best Dean, we're almost like, yeah, Dean's here. Good for him.
Dean's Dean. Like,
you know, whereas there is something there. Like, but how there is something there.
Yeah.
I don't know. We need to work on it.
I guess to your point of this topic, though, AP, you could say, is the person who came to KTM with that, like, what does this do for his career? Training with Alden and da-da-da-da-da. And it actually kind of went the way people thought it might, like in terms of the upward trend with his performance and his fitness and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Like, that's the expectations that this could be what happens at KTM actually worked for AP, almost didn't work for kind of anybody else. Yeah?
Yeah, and also going off of what I said about Webb could just be, you could just say Webb is great. Going off of what you said about Tickle, Plessinger was the only B rider on KTM who went in and improved. The B riders have just kind of either gone there, been the same, or gotten worse. Yeah. You could make a case that the Dungies, the Chases, the Webbs, the Marvins, they're great. They'll always figure it out. They'll get there in the end. The B riders are more help. They're more volatile. No.
Yeah.
Volatile, is that a word? Volatile?
Volatile, yeah.
So that's why the Plessinger case study carries more weight in my mind.
Yeah.
You know what? I am going to do an interview with Ian Harrison this weekend about this very topic.
All right, fair enough.
The value that Plessinger has brought to the program.
Help me jog my memory here for just a second, because I'm trying to go through the history of KTM briefly in the USA since they kind of came back. Obviously, it was Alessi and Shorty first year for like the full factory Red Bull KTM return. Then they got Dungey. Who was Dungey's teammate from 12 to the beginning of 14 before Roxon?
You know what's funny? I was going to ask you that exact question 5 minutes ago. Who was Dungey's 450 teammate in 2012?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Was there one?
Is there? we look like no,
maybe
idiots.
There wasn't, because Roxon and Marvin moonlighted on opposite coasts. So I don't think there was,
but kind of rarely. I don't remember them being the third rider. Yeah, maybe it was just those three, like one coast per each, and then one 450 guy.
But in 2013, who would that have been?
I think it was the same. I think, and then they were just getting ready for when Roxon and Marvin moved up.
Okay, you talk for 2 minutes. Oh God, now I'm recording my screen.
He's all over the place.
Okay, you talk for 2 minutes because I know how to find this out really fast.
But anyway, so yes, if you're looking at the history of like KTM's rebirth in the US as a factory Red Bull KTM outfit, Shorty and Alessi, they both leave. Then it's Dungey, blank, Roxon and Dungey and Wilson. And for a brief second, I think Justin Hill also on a 450, like for a moment, if I remember right. And then Wilson out, Marvin moves up in 16. Yeah, Marvin and Dunge until Dunge retires. Then Marvin and Tickle in 18. Marvin and Webb until this last year, I guess, basically, the last couple of years.
Roxon and Dungey in 2014 was the first two-man 450 team.
There you go. Okay.
In 2012 and 2013, it was Dungey, Roxon, and Marvin on 250s. Now, fun game. 2014, Dungey and Roxon were on 450s. Marvin and who were on 250s?
In 2014?
Yep.
Yeah, Justin Hill.
Nope. 450 riders, Dungey and Roxon. 250 riders, Marvin and blank.
Marvin, is this the Politelli year?
Nope, but I forgot about that. No, there wasn't a Politelli year, was there?
But like there was like he was supposed to,
Yeah.
supposed to get something at least. Marvin.
Would you like?
Oh, Dean Ferris.
Yep, well done.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting. KTM in the US. All right. Do we want to just push Cairoli to be a recap?
A recap?
Like after it happens this weekend? We'll talk about it
Sure.
next week.
Because we're time limits are all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into our second half of the show and really just kind of rush through this pretty quickly. But we have a fan topic that we want to get into. Before we do that, big thanks to EVS Sports for back in the show. Experience the pinnacle of knee protection and injury prevention with the EVS Web Eclipse knee brace. For over 39 years, EVS has relentlessly honed their engineering expertise, consistently delivering award-winning knee braces. This legacy of excellence is embedded in every facet of the new Web Eclipse, which represents the culmination of their tireless dedication to innovation and rider safety. Use code LVK30 to save 30% off today. All right, Racetech fan topic rolling in on Twitter here today. Racetech Gold valves provide a plush feel with drastically improved bottoming resistance and increased traction. All Racetech products are 100% guaranteed and made in the US of A. Aiden Irvin at Aiden Irvin1 hit us with another one here today that's really interesting, and I feel like we're going to have two different approaches with this because we couldn't earlier decide the definition of global sports conference. So maybe we should start with that. But his question is if you had to select 5 people to represent the moto community at a global sports conference, who would you choose? So Lewis, what is a global sports conference?
Well, thanks to my research, it does exist. It's in Saudi Arabia. Maybe WSX will go there. And that's all I know.
Okay.
In my opinion, in my mind, the way I interpret it is it's people who know about the sport and we're showing them how cool we are.
Okay. So people who know about the sport.
Advertising is what, in my mind, we're advertising.
Sure. Okay. So if you had to pick 5 people to represent the moto community, who would you pick?
Well, I want to make the same joke I did earlier, but I feel like a fucking idiot.
Well, why would you say it's a joke and not just go in with it? You've really,
because I feel like an idiot.
You've really spoiled it.
Earlier, I said that on my 5-person panel, I would travel to Saudi Arabia. I would get on on the podium because the panel would be on a table and I would be at a podium next to the table to introduce my panel. And I would say, okay, first on the panel is Mr. Chase Sexton. Woo, everyone claps, he sits down. And then I would say, this is the only person on my fucking panel because this man is worth 5 men and he is all you need to see to understand how good our sport is. Thank you and goodbye. And then we'd leave.
That's it. There's no pitch. You wouldn't talk about the sport at all. You just, this man, we're out of here.
If you don't understand, then I'm not even going to waste my breath trying to explain it to you. Look at him.
Look at his shoulders. They're so broad. Oh, man. That's pretty funny. Well,
it was earlier anyways.
It was. It's still funny now, especially the way that you delivered it. If you and Chase walk up...
you know what? Shall I just recap all of my jokes from earlier?
No. If you and Chase...
Are you sure? Wait, no?
We could get there. We could get there.
I feel like instead of me trying to say them genuinely, I may as well just recap them.
Okay. If you and Chase get there and walk up on the podium together, what would you guys want the sport to be pitched as?
No, okay, so first of all, that's obviously a joke. I would not do that.
Yes.
If I'm going to the news conference and I'm pitching it as the sport is cool, then I would do Chase and Jet because that's the American rivalry. Also, you have an Australia. So you're ticking 2 nationalities. I would get them both to stand up and be like, this is our rivalry. This is our... Help me with another sports rivalry. This is our Lewis Hamilton versus Max Verstappen. This is it.
Yep.
Thank you, Chase and Jet. Sit back down. Then I would get Jeffrey Hurlings to stand up. No, I would get Jeffrey and Jorge Prado to stand up. And I'd be like, these guys are also really fucking cool. Thanks for coming out. Sit back down.
This is your 4. And
I would get Hurlings and Prado to fly to Saudi Arabia just so I could get them to stand up and go, these guys are also cool. Thank you.
Honestly, what if we just we handled this the entirely wrong way? What if we instead just went to this panel, right? And we somehow set up like a way for there to be like, I don't even know, you make like wood berms up on the stage or something like that. And you just put 2 gates down and Justin Barsh is in one and Vince Freeze is in the other. And you say, this is our sport, drop the gate.
No, because we are not FMX stunts.
Okay. But I just mean for the entertainment value of those two trying to beat one another in like a 2-lap stage race.
Anyway, I know who's on your panel because we did this earlier, but tell me now again.
So I look at it from basically the standpoint of like you kind of want to have a complete list of riders, team personnel, business people that understand the behind the scenes of the sport to kind of present it all as one big package deal. I don't know if we're selling the sport or what have you, or we're just telling people that it's cool. I think the cool idea, you would definitely do something like you, but my idea is if like you're trying to present the sport to a group of sports people who need to know more about it, I would start off with like Ken Roxon, who's maybe the biggest name in the sport. At least he has the biggest following in the sport at the moment and is multinational, obviously German, speaks great English, lives in the USA. And then I would actually have a curveball here. I would go to a retired rider, and it would be Travis Pastrana, because although he is more known for his FMX soirees, and people know of Travis Pastrana because of that, like if they think dirt bikes and Travis Pastrana, they're like, oh, backflips and great. I think Travis would go up on that stage and sell the sport of supercross and motocross as, no, you think what I'm doing is crazy? You should see how hard these guys work. You should see the amount of work that goes into it. You should see their heart rates 20 minutes into a main event, etc., etc., etc. And he's very well spoken. He's very energetic. To me, I almost look at Travis Pastrana of like the Tony Hawk of skateboarding. Tony Hawk has been a great ambassador for skateboarding, even though he's not a street skater. He's a vert skater, but most people would associate Tony Hawk with all skateboarding. So the same thing with Travis Pastrana.
Yeah, but would it not be hello everyone, this is Travis Pastrana. One person in the crowd would go, oh, he's here to talk about cars. Another person would be like, oh, he's here to talk about stunts. Like, I feel like there would be mass confusion about, so why is he here? Is there a rally event coming up? Is this rally?
But you just kind of proved my point, because Travis Pastrana is multifaceted, so people know of him from many different areas. It would kind of be, like having, I'm trying to think of another like multi-sport athlete of some kind, like you don't know this name, but Deion Sanders or something like that coming up there to explain the differences between the NFL and the MLB. And Travis Pastrana could go up there and be like, yes, I know car racing. I know NASCAR. And I know that these guys are effing ridiculous at what they do. Like he could pitch it from a standpoint of, I did this and I also did that, and I would recommend you watch this because of these reasons, kind of thing. Anyway, so I'd have Travis. I'd have Dave Prater, who's the president of Supercross, because he would have all the details in and outs of why the sport, how the sport, etc. And then I would have, someone that presents the sport well, like a Jason Wygant type, Weege, because he's very well spoken. He could present all these people on the stage in the first place. And then I would go to, someone that's a team guy like a Lars Lindstrom, who's been a mechanic, now is a team manager, knows the very technical side of the sport and can explain that as well, to get a holistic approach of, hey, this is what we bring to the table.
I like that. I'm just going to run through some of my ideas from earlier so what I said was, first of all, I could go to the panel, stand up on my podium and say, first of all, we'd like to welcome Hayden Deegan. He'd sit down and I'd be like, so Hayden, tell everyone how good the sport is. And he'd say, we just send it. And they're like, oh, sorry, he's not really made for this. Off you go. And then I'd go, next up, we have Max Anstey. I'd say, Max, tell us about the sport. And then 20 minutes later, we'd find out that he just arrived on a plane. Oh, sorry again. That's also a bad move on my part. Not really made for this. Sorry. Off you go. Shoot. So that was 2 of them. What else did I say earlier? Oh, I said that also I'd bring Hayden up, but I would be his translator. So he would say like, so we just send it every week. And then I'd be like, that translates into every week they try very hard to get the best possible result. What other phrases does Hayden say?
Where you said something like, we're trying to cook them or something?
Yeah, every week we're just cooking. And that translates to they are putting in their very best efforts to achieve the admirable result on race day. That's what I'd have to translate. What else did we say? Oh, this isn't even a joke, but earlier, I'm just doing notes because I can't make it come up organically now. Earlier, to your Dave Prater point, we discussed how it would be very interesting to have Dave Prater and David Luongo prepare speeches about the sport separately, with the same basic prompt, and just see how different their speeches are because they are the most powerful people in the sport. They've both got effectively the same job, and I'd find it fascinating to see what points they both attach to.
Yeah, the comparison of each for sure.
Yeah, like it'd be really interesting just to see who does it better, like because they would have. Not just because they're different series and different backgrounds, but they would have, like, for instance, if you asked me and you, we would both latch on to different points.
Yeah.
For instance, I would make a PowerPoint about Chase and Jeffrey. You would probably have a more sensible decision. And they'd have, different. It'd be interesting.
It's nice that you say that my decision would be sensible and that I would not also have a PowerPoint of Max Boland.
Sensible is another word for boring.
Okay, fair enough. So your panel leans more on the like the aesthetics of like the athletes and the rivalries and like the emotions of the sport, I guess, which I think even earlier today you said is kind of like the Drive to Survive methodology, right? Like show them the storylines and the interest level of these guys. And right?
Earlier I said that in my mind I pictured the expo as like pitching to Netflix. I pictured this expo as everyone there knows what the sport is. We're trying to convince you we're cool. Whereas you took it as no one there knows what the sport is. We're trying to convince you we're a real sport, kind of. I wonder, WSX is a week before the final F1 round.
Yeah.
I wonder if I could go to WSX, then go to F1, get a media pass, and somehow like interview people about like, do you know what this sport is? What's your perspective of this sport? Do you think it's a real sport? What would you improve about this sport? Like, I'm talking like executives of F1. Probably not. Because I'd imagine they're really hard to get access to, especially to not talk about F1.
What I was going to say is when you said, could I go to WSX, get a media pass, and then go to F1 and get a media pass, all the people that know anything about F1 just started laughing in $100 bills, probably. They just started... Because, I mean, I don't know. How many people want to be media members in F1? How many people do they probably turn away?
Well, Kellen, not to shit on your parade.
Oh, you have a guy.
No.
Oh.
I have two guys.
Okay.
I know the guy who runs media at Alpine.
Okay. So you could get it.
Like he's the guy who like he hires the PR guy, the video guy, like he runs all of that.
So guess what? In a roundabout way, you're going to be the guy that does this. You are all 5 people representing the moto community, and you're going to go to F1 and do this for us.
Shall we try and do it? Well, who's going to pay for my flight? But I'll do this. This will be well good. Imagine this. Imagine this. I could like the Lewis. It would be like Lewis documentary, like me going off to the wilderness to do research and like report back. That would be like a real reporter. But basically, what would happen is I'd come back and be like, "Yeah, no one spoke to me."
No, because I think that if you went to F1. Especially if you talk to certain drivers, they would be like, yeah, that sport's amazing.
Hi, do you listen to LVK? Do you know what... Hi, I'm Lewis from LVK. Do you know what that is? Hi.
I mean, we've had Pierre Gasly at Supercross before. We've had Daniel Ricciardo flying with Will Hahn on a private jet, so...
I want to do this. This would be fucking big-ass journalism.
Yeah, it would.
I just would need to really, like you say, I'd have to probably speak to Mertz to get me in with Ricciardo. I'd probably have to speak to Alpine guy to get me in with Gasly. I know a guy who could get me in with Red Bull. I know a guy who could get me in with a Williams driver. Watch this space. This could be the best thing that we've ever done.
All right.
And you can live through it with me in spirit.
Yeah, and then you're going to be big time. So I'm going to have to find another partner to do this podcast with.
And then fucking hell, 2025 F1 starts. I'm doing the fucking commentary on TV. What a turnaround.
David Croft.
Yeah, like, wow, life comes at you fast.
All right. Very interesting topic, though. And honestly, I think we'll we'll kind of find another way to rehash that another time, because there's a lot of really intrinsic cool things about, figuring out a way to present our sport on a global scale. And
that is a topic. Yep, that is a topic.
Yeah, so we'll definitely rehash it. But the last topic that we have today is actually topics. And Steve Mathis, randomly, we were in our group chat with him trying to figure out when we're going to record the show this week, and he just says, "I'm going to send you guys topics." And you said, "Okay, I'm keen to see what these are." And he says, "I'm at a concert." So,
yeah, which is really weird that he texted us that idea whilst at a concert.
I know. So sure enough, he sent us topics. So this is going to be kind of just like the final topic. We're going to riff through these fairly quickly because it's just random. But I think this is what he hoped the show to be like from the start. So now we get the true LVK experience. The first question that Steve asked is, do I need to start playing video games more to get to know riders better? As it does seem that a lot of riders play sim and know Kellen.
Well, the thing is, I could say I've got an immediate reply, but it's a reply that will make a lot of people hate me.
Well, let's hear it.
No. Oh, yeah, sure. No.
Here's the thing.
I was going to allude to the fact that maybe some of the riders that applies to are not necessarily riders that Steve wants to know.
I don't know.
Some. I said some.
I don't know. The thing about me and playing video games and knowing riders and stuff like that is, to be honest, it's kind of a similar situation that I feel like Wes Williams has an upper hand on us sometimes, because he is going to amateur races. He's been at Loretta's forever. So even someone that races, the 50s all the way till the A class at Loretta's knows who Wes Williams is, because he's always walking around with a camera. And I think that for me, I've been able to, with video games, like connect to a younger audience. So these kids that are coming up now, I've been around doing this video game thing for a decade. And so they were 6 and now they're about to go pro, but they grew up like watching my stuff, which is the same thing that could be said about, the broadcasters on TV, or honestly, even Steve's show, because there's a lot of young people that watch Steve's shows with their dads and stuff like that. But I think that's where my connection comes from, is that I have the ability to engage with a young audience. They know who I am from that. And so when they meet me, they're like, "Oh, I grew up like kind of watching you." So that's pretty cool. That's the only upper hand I have. It's not like I play video games with all of them and I'm just hanging out, broing down in lobbies with them.
Based on the video, it looks like you're dying because you're moving towards the light.
I need to raise my jerseys up. The jerseys behind me just sit too low, so I'm just getting blown out. Talk for a second. I'll fix it.
Okay. Well, basically, gaming is the same as your... I had no idea there was a window there. All the times I've been in your studio, I had no idea behind those jerseys was a window. Blown my mind. Gaming is basically your version of Steve being a mechanic, in a weird way.
Yeah, because
it's your niche.
It's my niche, correct.
And being a mechanic was Steve's niche when he started.
Right, exactly.
My niche is I'm the MXGP guy.
Exactly.
So like certain people who follow MXGP have talked to me. Like, for instance, Chase follows MXGP. That's kind of how I've got to know Chase quite well. Well, that's kind of the only example. It's not a very good niche.
Can I actually ask you, though, did you expect, when you came over here to cover the sport, did you expect more riders to like know more about MXGP, or did you always think like no one had a clue?
Not just riders. I expected the industry as a whole to know more.
Okay.
Like, it's shocking how I bet if you polled the industry and asked them to tell like how many GPs has Sewer won, I don't expect anyone to know the number exactly, but like to get I bet a very small number of people could get ballpark. Like, I don't know off the top of my head, but I can have an educated guess.
Yeah. A lot of people would probably say, has he ever?
Yeah, exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
And I use Sewer because he's probably the first guy below. Everyone knows Jeffrey, Geyser, Prado because they're so good, they're impossible to ignore.
Yeah.
Sewer's probably the first one who's just below that group.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. All right. So that's the video game topic. The next topic, and it kind of has sort of to do a little bit with what we just talked about, but he asked, does Lewis being from another country cause some of the issues that he has from time to time?
Yeah, I'm fucked. We're steadying the ship a little bit with this podcast, I feel. People are starting to realize who I am, so that's better. Hopefully. Now watch the comments just attack me and be like, no, we're not realizing. And then I feel like I've gotten a lot better at being less sarcastic. I really do. Okay, the silence is deafening.
No, I mean, I'm just listening to your story here.
Okay, I was expecting Lewis, you have. Well done.
No, I feel like at the beginning you were a lot more I don't know. No, you were just blunt with your opinions, and now I feel like you're more like loose and go free. I don't know. That makes sense?
No, because wouldn't being blunt with your opinions be being loose?
No, I mean
you're more
blunt in terms of your tone. Blunt, you would just be like, I think he's done fuck all.
That's what I've worked on, because I feel like being blunt is quite an English thing, and I've realized that doesn't work here, so I've had to really like dress it up, and be like, we're all trying hard, aren't we? I love everyone. No, like, I don't know. I don't really know. Honestly, coming to America, everything I thought I knew, I don't. Like, I kind of have realized that I don't really have a good grasp on who I am as a person and how I come across.
To the point of him asking some of the issues that you have, we have a recurring segment on the show called Am I a Dick, which is fantastic banter. Your Am I a Dick stories, do you feel that you being British has caused or maybe exacerbated some of these Am I a Dick moments, or no?
Well, I have an Am I a Dick from this past weekend. So I was boarding the flight in Binghamton, small little plane, so, not a big deal. Had my carry-on. Guy at the gate wraps a tag around it for me to check it. And I went, I've got a really tight connection. I can't do that. And he went, well, it's not going to fit. And I went, well, I flew here on the same plane and it did fit. And he went, well, you can try. And as I walked off, I went, yep, I will. And then he went, I've never met someone so rude. And I'm like, what? It's a very black and white conversation. I think it can fit. Yes, I will try. But obviously the tone was less pleasing. So I don't know. Honestly, it's fucked with my head. Wait, because it's not something I anticipated. No, I just presumed I'm a man of the world. I don't see differences. I like to think we're all one. Yeah. Like one of the great leaders. Like a Jesus. I like to think we're all one.
Okay.
What I've realized is maybe everyone else is one and I'm just not part of that group. No, like I don't know how, like, it's really given me like a what's the word? A conflict? No, a complex. It's really given me a complex because it's really made me double think. Like now, when I say, whereas before I would just say stuff I'm not even talking podcasts. I'm talking normal conversation. I would just say stuff and I wouldn't think about it. Now, when I'm talking to you or when I'm talking to a rider or when I'm talking to anyone, even in a store, I'm almost analyzing what I'm saying and the way I'm saying it to be like, that could be read wrong. That could be read wrong. That could be read wrong. So like, it's really given me a complex in that way. Not that you'd be able to tell, because obviously I seem like a really stable human being. See, that was sarcasm.
And that's why I laughed.
But I did it again. I didn't mean to be sarcastic, but it just happens.
It's in your nature. You grew up with it, so now you're used to it.
No, like for instance, so when I interviewed Chase at Washougal, there was a lot of YouTube comments below it that said it's obvious how much Chase hates Lewis. So this week, at the end of the interview, tongue in cheek, I said to him, just to be clear, last interview we did, there was a lot of comments saying it's clear just how much you hate me. Just wondered if there's something you want to get off your chest. I'm looking for some clarification here. Like, in my mind, it's so obvious that it's just a little
joke, moment. Especially that everyone knows that you and Chase are tight, so.
And then the comments are, I can't believe this guy has just straight up asked Chase if he likes him. And it's like, it's just like, but in the moment, I didn't anticipate that it could be read that poorly.
Well, the problem is that you have, like, you work for a platform where you're going to have quite a few, like, what I would just consider to be casual fans, and they're like, oh, cool, press day, YouTube, blah, blah, blah. Like, they're not really even kind of watching. So if you ask that question, it probably comes across as like, who is this guy? Who's this reporter asking this question? If you heard that in F1, you would have to very much know that person and their tone to understand that it's a joke, I feel like.
I do feel like stuff, but like that does exist in F1. There is like relationship, but like this is what I don't understand, because Steve does it. Steve makes little, but I think it's because Steve is so known that everyone can read him, so people can't read me yet.
But Steve has gotten, because his show has gotten more popular in terms of YouTube viewership of late, he has ran into that issue as well, where people are like, you know, they'll just come at him about the way he asked the question or the banters that he had with riders or whatever, not knowing that he has very close personal relationships with these guys. So like, he's dealt with it. Honestly,
if I republished some of my sewer interviews now on the Vital platforms, oh my God, the comments. Oh my God.
Those are probably the best podcasts I've ever listened to. Those old ones.
You get one, like, because me saying to Chase, do you think, just want to clarify, do you hate me? That's we're not even touching the sides. I told Sewer to retire in a post-race podcast. Told him I could do better. I told him I don't like that line. What the fuck were you doing, you fucking idiot? He told me that I should just fuck off and I'm an idiot. This would not fly.
No.
But this is also what. So I don't know. I'm going too long on this now.
No. But it's fair.
It plays on my mind. But I don't know what fucking people want from me. I really don't, because in my opinion, that interview with Chase, where we covered the real stuff and then there's a light-hearted little bit at the end, is kind of the perfect mix of true journalism, but also showing the personality, which we also need.
Well, but I think for you, what you need to, I think, probably be a little bit better at, and this is just my, well, this is what I'm trying to get across to you.
With Kellen.
I think you need to be a little bit better at deflecting and understanding the comments that are from the casuals, and reading and understanding the comments that are from the core fans, because the core fans do like you and do like your brashness and do like the things that you say and all that stuff like that. They don't necessarily always voice it because it's nice things to say. People are more negative than they are positive. That's YouTube comments in a nutshell.
To be fair, I will say, I say all this, that all comes from internally now. Over the last probably 6 months, I really couldn't give a fuck about like the comments and stuff, because I have come to figure that out. At first, I was kind of really like confused, because it was really confusing me. Like, why aren't you understanding this? Whereas now I'm just like, whatever, like I can laugh about it.
Yeah.
But probably 6 months ago, I wouldn't have mentioned those comments. I wouldn't have even said to Chase, there are comments saying it's clear you hate me, because I would have been like, maybe they're true. Maybe they're,
Yeah.
Whereas now I've kind of reasoned with it. Now it mainly comes from an internal place, because I don't want people to misinterpret me, because I'm not a bad person.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Potentially. All right. One more question that he wanted us to answer, and this is the most non-moto thing that we're going to do today. He said, if you guys could rescue a dog or a cat, which would you choose and why?
Surely they'd be able to get out of a burning building by themselves.
I don't think that's what he means. I think rescue in terms of if you're going to go to a pound or whatever and adopt one kind of thing.
That makes a lot more sense. My question was arguably more fun.
Well, go for it. Let's do your question.
A dog, but neither.
Are you a pet person? Do you like pets?
Yeah, I am. I just can't be asked with the hassle of it.
No? But did you have pets like growing up or anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Barney, my best friend ever.
Barney?
Yep.
Dog?
Yep.
Nice.
French Basset Hound. He died like 8 years ago, and I dreamt about him the other day, because I've never had a bond with someone like that.
Oh. Well,
Man and his best friend.
Maybe you need to get your own dog and name it Chase.
No, because I've run into this. It's fucked, because you have a dog.
Yeah, and then you're gone so much. And then you're gone so much too.
No, not that. You like not even specific to me. I believe this in anything. You have a dog. It's great. You love this dog. It dies. You can't ever replace it. So just forget about it.
No, I mean I've had probably 10 dogs in my life. So
yeah, but do you not just always compare the next one to the previous one?
No, because like each one has their own personality and tendencies and stuff like that.
See,
like
I'm more like I did that. I had the best. I'm not going to try and follow it up.
Oh, okay. I mean, I had great dogs growing up. I have great dogs now. So
can you even rescue cats?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know. I know you can rescue dogs because
because obviously you hear about dog shelters a lot. I've never heard of a cat shelter.
Yeah.
Because cats can just, I mean, not all cats obviously, but certain cats just roam anyway.
Yeah.
How do you even know what ones need to be rescued? Because some of them just roam. You see a dog wandering the streets, you're like, that needs to be rescued.
Yeah.
You see a cat, and you're like, well, who knows?
I've seen memes and quotes and stuff of people saying if you have an outdoor cat, you don't have a cat, you have a raccoon. So I could get on board with that too. Anyway, my answer would be dogs. I've always had dogs, and the 2 dogs I have right now are actually our rescues. So yeah, all day I would pick dogs.
And from a burning building?
I would try to get both. I would.
I feel like a cat could get out better by itself, more nimble.
Yeah, I feel like,
So a dog would need help more.
I feel like a cat would just kind of like somehow hover over everything and launch out a window and land on its feet, no problem. A dog, you'd have to like legitimately make sure it doesn't break legs as it's coming downstairs and stuff like that.
Dog definitely would need you more.
Yeah. So dog rescue from building, dog rescue from the pound, etc.
Nice. Dogs sweep the board.
Dogs sweep the board. All right, Lewis, we're done. We finally got through this episode. No more technical difficulties here today.
A little behind the curtain for everyone. Halfway through this show, we had to stop because Kellen thought that he'd lost this one as well.
Why wouldn't you just let me try to nicely mesh that together and not let people know?
No, because it's after the fact. I mean, I'm all about being transparent, Kellen.
All right, fair enough.
I'm not going to try and lie to the people.
Yeah.
And if that had happened, we would not have been recording this episode for a third time.
No, Lewis would have been done. There would have been no show this week. So I saved it. I think we're good.
No, honestly, this has been better than I thought, but mainly because we replaced some of the topics. If we'd done exactly the same topics as earlier, it would have been a rough show.
Well, honestly, I think what made it better too is that we had banters about it too, because like we're the group, especially in the press box when we're with Steve, that like we key in on the dumb stuff that happens, you know, and we like to make fun of it. So the fact that I failed miserably with the technical difficulties today turns into a fun bit of the show.
Well, honestly, people need to react to this because for the first time, we've not registered the time limit at all or paid attention to it. It's been a much more just free-flowing podcast. Thoughts, people?
Yeah, I think we only actually did 5 topics, like Steve topics, and then we just skipped the Ducati ones. So.
It depends on how you look at it because we either did 5 or we did 8.
Yeah. All right. Anyway,
we did either 5 or 7.
We Budds Creek coming up this weekend, gonna be fun. I'll be back. You will be there. Steve will be there. We're all gonna have a great time and excited for it. So I'll be scouting lines, reminiscing about yesteryear. And then when we come back next week for LVK, we're going to do a deep dive. We're going to pull photos of Lewis riding here at Budds Creek and see. I've got photos on my phone. All right, there we go. We're going to post them up so that people know that you did at one point ride in your life. Rode Budds Creek. You know what? I don't think I set the lap record, but I think I was like only a second off, they said. The Villapoto or Ricky Carmichael lap from 07? I don't know who had it, but I almost did. Yeah, good on you, though. Very nice. And obviously, I'm not trying to say I'm as good as those people. The conditions did favor me on my day. Yeah. But I was a second or so off from memory. Smooth track, less pressure from the fans, quiet day. Yeah. So, like, I'm not trying to say I'm as good as them. I'm just trying to say I'm only slightly worse. Fair enough. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Big shout out to EVS Sports, Namura, and Race Tech for backing the show. And we'll be back next week with more LVK More Than Moto.